City Council to fund the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, a proven method used in 700 cities. Because of our work, we've seen the Affordable Housing Trust Fund play a part in $80 million worth of projects and services and over 1,000 households supported. Tonight, we're joined by Greta Harris, CEO of the Better Housing Coalition. Better Housing Coalition has received funding from the Trust Fund over the past few years, and we're excited to hear about the impact on families and seniors in our community. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Harris.
The opportunity to come take a few minutes and share with you a little bit about the Better Housing Coalition and about the importance of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. At Better Housing Coalition, our mission is to change lives and transform communities through the creation of high-quality, affordable housing. And I'd like to just take a couple minutes and show you exactly what I mean. Next slide. If you were in the Richmond area, specifically in Church Hill, north of Broad Street in the early 90s, you may have seen this vacant and abandoned grocery store that was sitting surrounded by blight. It was a time where there weren't a whole lot of fancy restaurants like we have north of Broad and Church Hill today. It was really very troubling and had open-air drug dealing and wasn't a really pleasant place. Next slide. We were able to work with the community and transform that liability into a community asset. Since that time, we've invested over $50 million just in the Church Hill community north of Broad Street. We're very happy with the work that we've done and actually are going to be finishing up work in that neighborhood because we can't afford to stay there much longer because of all of the private investment that's coming in. Next slide. Again, if you have lived in Richmond for a bit, in the mid-90s, if you were living in the West End, and this was before the Downtown Expressway, so you would only have Carey Street to get you to downtown. And you had lots of blighted properties, again, open-air drug dealing during the crack epidemic that was going on at that time. Next slide. We were able to take over 100 blighted properties and turn them into quality family housing. We've also taken an abandoned nursing home and turned that into quality, affordable senior housing. And the old Randolph School is now senior housing. This is all in an area in the Fan where a one-bedroom apartment is renting for close to $2,000 a month. Next slide. Again, if you lived in the Richmond region, and this is in North Chesterville off of Jeff Davis Highway, the old Parkley Apartments, where the county police used to receive over 1,000 911 calls a year because of all of the illicit activities that were going on there in the community. Next slide. Today, this is a $60 million mixed-income, mixed-use development that hosts a health clinic, a daycare center, retail, a community center, and over 500 units of housing, and really has transformed that part of Chesterfield County. Next slide, please. So our organization is turning 30 this year, and it has been our great honor to serve this community for 3 decades, creating about 1,500 quality rental apartments, providing homeownership and wealth-building opportunities to over 200 first-time home buyers, creating 50,000 square feet of retail and community facility space, and most importantly, serving over 10,000 residents in need of quality, affordable housing. Just our one nonprofit organization has invested close to $250 million into the greater Richmond region during this period of time. Next slide. Now, while we're very proud of the success that we've had, and we know that we're in the real estate business, our work is really about people and community uplift. We believe that where you live can change your life. These little guys pictured here are my bosses, along with about 3,000 other folks who honor us by living in our communities that are located throughout the region. And it's why I get up every day to make sure that they dream those small dreams and that they can thrive in success in their lives as they define it. Next slide. Now, doing affordable housing is expensive and it takes a long time. And we need lots of different types of capital to make it a reality. And I just want to thank you all for your diligence and your commitment to helping to create the Affordable Housing Trust Fund several years ago. It's part of the financing mix that makes affordable housing a reality. So thus far, the fund and our numbers aren't quite in alignment, but it's in the general ballpark here. It was actually created by the city in 2009. We didn't receive the initial money until 2012. And so far, the city has invested a little over $2 million to 17 different housing developments and programs. That has leveraged about $50 million of development and has helped over 600 families to receive quality housing supports. And we're very pleased about that. The typical Affordable Housing Trust Fund grant goes from about $25,000 to a little bit over $100,000. Now, while we're happy for the success of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, it's woefully inadequate for the growing needs that we have. In case you haven't noticed, Richmond is changing quite a bit. And we as a community really have to check ourselves about our value proposition. Who do we really want to be? We have to be intentional to ensure that we have policies and resources to welcome all of the new people who are moving into the city, but we also need those same policies and resources to protect existing residents so they have the opportunity to stay. So we ask that you continue your advocacy work and to be able to encourage City Council and the Mayor to put another zero behind the $1 million that they're putting in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund to a minimum of $10 million per year. Simplify the process and focus the investments for greater community impacts. The last thing that I'll say, I know you're moving into the education arena, but know that education is linked with transportation, is linked with job access, is linked with affordable housing, is linked with quality health care and quality food access. It's not one over the other. They all intersect with one another, and we all need those things in order to be successful. So I thank you for your partnership, and let's continue the fight together. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tim Timmons, and I am the co-chair of the Social Justice Ministry at St. Elizabeth Catholic Church. I am also a proud yet highly concerned graduate of Richmond Public Schools. As part of RISK initiative on elementary reading in Richmond, I would like to introduce Justice Harris, who has volunteered to share a story with us tonight. Then we will have a chance to hear from Anna Kellum, instructional specialist in Lancaster County Schools. She has been involved in implementing a proven reading program called the Direct Instruction of Reading Mastery. These stories have shaped work of our Education Committee over the past several months. Please join me in welcoming them to the stage.
I'm here today to talk talk about the challenge that I have faced with reading. Since 2nd grade, when I went to a new school, I had some trouble with reading and understanding what I read. My teachers, even in math and science, tell me that I am behind on reading. I have worked really hard to keep my grades up this year, but I also know that I am not the only one who struggles with reading in my class. Some kids in my class can only read picture books, and our teachers let them. There is not enough time or any resources to teach us to read because we are so focused on passing the SOLs. If I could talk to Richmond Public Schools leaders, I would tell them that we have a serious problem with reading. We need more help learning to read. I like school and my favorite class is English. I want to read well so that I can be successful in middle school. Everyone in my school needs the tools to read so that we don't continue to struggle and fall behind. Reading is so important, and we can't wait.
Good evening. That's a hard act to follow. I would like to start by thanking you for inviting me to share Lancaster County's literacy success. Standing here and looking out, it's awe-inspiring to observe such a show of support in developing literacy in Richmond schools. I hope that our story will be one that empowers others to strive to grow lifelong readers. I will share with you our direct instruction success. Through direct instruction, we are doing what is right for our students. Just a little to begin, Lancaster is a small rural waterfront community in the Northern Neck. We educate 1,182 students. Of those, 62% receive free and reduced lunch, 58% are African American, and 38% Caucasian. And over the past 3 years, we have had a turnover of 80% of our teachers. There's no nightlife in Lancaster County. So here's the abbreviated version of our literacy story, which began 4 years ago when we had a complete turnover of our division leadership. At that time, 80% of our students were reading 1 or more years below grade level expectations. With that being said, direct instruction was under the direction of our assistant superintendent, our division implemented direct instruction in grades K through 12. Tonight, I'll just focus on the K through 5. All students were screened and instruction began in the fall of 2015. Our primary school began a Walk to Read program, which means our students walk to a predetermined location to receive instruction that is developmentally appropriate and based on their needs. To gain their support and trust from our faculty and staff, our superintendent offered to pack his bags and move if we did not see results. Over the past 3 years, the most difficult challenge was shifting our faculty's mindset from teaching students to pass a test to teaching our students to read. If we teach them to read, they will pass the test. Thank you. Do I get another minute? In the past 2.5 years, we have seen the gap in reading levels close, and as I stated earlier in 2014, around 20% of our students were actually reading on grade level. This year, we're expecting to have around 60% on grade level. We are also expecting 90% of our end-of-year grade level averages to be on grade level, and I'm happy to announce that as of Friday, our 2nd and 3rd graders have already surpassed the end-of-year grade level expectations. So we are well on our way. So let's talk accreditation. Although our division is not fully accredited at this time, we are beginning to see continuous and sustainable growth in SOL scores across all content areas. Our student SOL scores continue to rise, and we have received recognition for those that growth. Our history teachers at the middle school this year, actually our history department is accredited. and our history teachers attributed to the fact that our students are reading. Just last week, I had a conversation with 2 of our therapy dog volunteers. They visited our schools weekly so our students can read to the dogs. Both women shared in this conversation of how they noticed that our students' fluency and ability to read has greatly improved. Now, these are 2 women with no literacy training at all, and they noticed the improvements. So you might ask, why are our students growing? Direct instruction is research-based. DI provides explicit, systematic instruction based on student needs. Barbara Carroll from Northport, Alabama sums it up in a quote in the Education Consumer Foundation report. Direct instruction does it all. It teaches kids to listen, it teaches them to think, it teaches kids to respond, it teaches self-control. It does it all. It's hard, but most things that are good are hard. So it's what's right for kids. Students move fluidly and change levels as their instruction needs change. It is a program that with proper training, teachers deliver good quality instruction consistently. Students become collectors of data and goal setters. We've even noticed a shift in our students' attitudes toward reading. Our referrals are down. Students display excitement and confidence in reading. Next, with the help of Rana Systems, we have provided and continue to provide our faculty with extensive training and support. It is important that our faculty and staff feel support and have that support at any time. This is definitely aided in their shift. Another key factor in our success is consistency. As you know, with our turnover of 80%, direct instruction is scripted, and with proper training, a new teacher can come in their first year of teaching and be successful and provide good instruction to our students.